Hello, I'm Cindy and I'm a survivor of covert narcissistic abuse, both psychological and physical. I spent 4 years on and off with my abuser. Today is May 12th, 2018. It is about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm having a hard time sleeping, so I fill my time with this. It has been 2 weeks, 2 days since I responded to my abuser, and it had been 2 weeks and 1 day since he had attempted contact with me. It is now back to 1 day. I went partial, no contact, and wouldn't recommend that. Absolute contact, no contact is best. Somehow knowing he's stopped trying can be harder than not knowing. And it is. I think it is. I think if I didn't know anything, that'd be better. He did contact me at yesterday at 1:20 in the morning. He just made he made it sound like he thought I was at this musical festival I've been wanting to go to this year. I didn't go last year. I didn't like the lineup. I liked it this year, and we went the year prior to that. And I think that I'm not really sure if he's just trying to make me feel guilty, or since it's worked in the past where I've panicked, that I get that inner sense of panic and try to prove where I am, as if it matters anymore, right? And I didn't get that. I just got really mad. I made a video. That's what I've been doing when I get angry and I want to rage, as I have made videos of those moments as a sort of testament, and I will share them at some point. I am not a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, and all advice comes from my own personal experience and massive research. I keep looking away at my computer screen so I can remember what I'm saying, where I'm at. So I apologize for that. I'm an author of 3 published books, 13 fiction. I am a single mother of 5, none with my abuser. I did go to school. I did go to college. I have a bachelor's of science in human resources management, and I have half a master's in psychology. But I hold no licenses or certifications yet, and I do have a good understanding of behavioral and abnormal psychology. It's something that I actually look into every day and try to keep up on my research. I do also have a minimal background in medicine, like terminology and physiology and systems and that kind of stuff. I did go to medical assisting school for two years. I don't use the label narcissist loosely. I've seen people jump on the narcissist bandwagon and call just any jerk or asshole a narcissist, and they're not all narcissists. They're just, sometimes they've just got some traits, and sometimes they're just assholes. But abuse is abuse, and that's another reason why I don't like to use it loosely. There's a debate on whether narcissistic abuse is worse, especially covert, and having been in a previous violent relationship, being abused before for 5 years, I can absolutely without a doubt say that there is a difference this time. And in that respect, I don't know if it's worse, but it's definitely different. If you watched my introduction video, thank you. If not, I'd be honored if you would. I explain who I am, how I got here, and my plans for this channel. I wrote a short story a bit over a week ago, and after sharing it with my therapist, I decided to share it here as well. She felt it could really help someone else, and I agree. I highly recommend getting a good therapist, preferably one who specializes in domestic violence. If it's affordable, get a life coach. So, the story. The story was a way for me to understand what I went through and why I was dwelling so strongly over ending things. Why I kept going back. Like, why did I miss him so much? I mean, right now I don't miss him. And that's a huge step. Him calling and accusing me of being somewhere. I'm obviously not at a music festival. I'm not camping overnight. This is a 2-day show over the weekend. I'm not there. As much as I wish I was, and as much as it's none of his business, I really wish I was there. I do still miss him every once in a while. And I did have a really 2 rough days prior, and they will be bad days. But obviously there are going to be good days too, and today was one of those for me. I did make a video of how angry I got, and that's been very therapeutic too. If you have the opportunity to actually use a camera as a diary for yourself, so you can actually play it back and look at yourself and be like, wow, you got so mad, but you've been able to calm down without giving in. And that's important. I think that's important too. I've made 2 of them now, and they will eventually end up here, but writing my actual story has taken a really long time. So I needed an abstract version to remind me to stay strong of my story, and that's how this one came out. I think it covers gaslighting and crazy-making behavior very well, and the emotions that go along with that, like the confusion and losing yourself and not recognizing yourself, and how they try to make you see yourself as what they're telling you. Because that's not necessarily how you feel, but that's how you believe. So, it pretty much references trauma bond, and that's also referred to as Stockholm Syndrome, and just like that fog you get in. At the end, there's radical acceptance, and I haven't quite gotten there yet. I don't think, at least. I think I would know if I did. I know it's the truth, I know it's the truth, but it's difficult to believe emotionally, on a deep level, that anybody could walk around with absolutely no conscience. It's just, it boggles me. And although I would never want to see the world through their eyes that way, I would never want to hurt people. I just have this need to just understand. I may never understand, and the thought of being like that scares me. But I'm also bipolar, and over emotions are my way of life, and I'm often a lot more depressed when I start to feel numb. Not to say that I get to a point where I'm not empathetic of others. I get to a point where I'm so flooded with emotions that I shut down, but that lack of emotion, or that lack of feeling other things, and that lack of feeling emotion is sad. It's sad. It's a little scary. And then mania, you're overwhelmed with all this energy and power to get things done. And little do you know, you're not really getting anything done. And then you spend so much time going from project to project to project, you end up getting nothing done. Everything's like you pick up 2 things here and 2 things there, and the whole room's still a mess. But I still can't imagine being without any of that. That's part of who I am. That would be a part of me that would just be gone. And he tried unsuccessfully to take all that I like about me away from me, and he was not successful. So, moving on. That's another thing about bipolar. You might have a hard time watching me. I do talk a lot. I do switch subjects a lot, and I know this, and it annoys me. So if it annoys somebody else, I really am sorry. It's just me, and I'll make sense in the end, I hope. I'm beginning to get more organized, but it's a process. I'm a very disorganized person. Just like my mind and my thoughts switch subjects all the time, so does my house. I try to keep as neat as possible. I do have lots of kids, and you have to pick up. But this is my safety. This is my room, and it's not very neat. But I am getting more organized. I have no definite title for this story. It's changed several times, but right now it's called This Is Crazy. A Covert Narcissist Revealed. Don't forget to like, share, comment, check out the links, and thank you for watching. She woke one crisp winter morning, wrapping a soft blanket around her naked body, and stood looking out the window. The day was sunny, friendly, welcomed her, warming her soul with its light. The snow on the ground was flawless, sparkling spots like diamonds and glitter. With childlike glee, she ran back to the bed, woke her lover with kisses, and they shared passionate bliss. Basking in the joy and exhilarated with life, she turned to her lover. "Will you come outside and play with me in the snow?" Let's make this a day we'll never forget. A smile spread across his beautiful face. His eyes sparkled with sheer glee. Yes, let's go do it. You're so wonderful and so special. So fun and so free. I could never hurt you. I'll always love you. No one could ever compare. There's no one I'd rather share this day with. I love making you as happy as you make me. They layered on coats, gloves, and hats, trampled into that flawless carpet of sparkling fluff. They rolled on the ground, throwing snowballs, laughed, loved. Exhausted and happy, they discarded their soggy things on the floor. The sun set on the day, that perfect day. They sipped on hot chocolate and cuddled, watching the last bit of light turn shades of wondrous orange, yellow, and purple, and finally just fade away. The stars came out. They lay in each other's arms. I love you so much, she whispered. He stroked her cheeks softly. I love you too. Never forget the feelings you had today, my dear. Hold on to that specialness forever, like I hold on to you. She tucked the memories of her emotions and her feelings deep inside her heart to protect them and cherish them till death do us part. She slept with him by her side. What a perfect future she dreamed of. They were meant to be. This man would make her happy, never hurt her, never leave. During the night, clouds covered the stars. It snowed once again. Sun banished the overcast morning, shining bright to greet the day. When she woke and saw that perfect layer of white, sparkling and winking at her, blanket wrapped tight round her, the same joy from yesterday swelled her heart. Her lover stood behind her, wrapping his arms around her tight. She asked with a wonder, "Can we go out again? Just repeat yesterday?" He loosened his grip, with concern in his voice. "What happened yesterday? I wasn't even here. Are you okay?" She thought he was joking, so she laughed a bit. "It must have snowed again, covered our trails. Don't tell me you can't remember. It was perfect." He let go completely. She felt confused and upset. "Something must be wrong with you, dear. I remember all our special moments together. If it was perfect, why can't I recall it?" he said, seeming worried. She rushed past him to the pile of wet gloves and mittens. She pointed out soggy boots by the door. "I know that it happened. Please look at this. Please remember," she pleaded. "This behavior is crazy. What's gotten into you? Just tell me and remember, my love, and that I'm always here for you," he said as she cried. He did not comfort her, though, and a small part of her began to die. He just shook his head, said, "I can't watch you like this. I'm leaving, and when I return, please be you again." Then he walked out the door. Heavy with grief and dismay, she went back to the window to stare at the snow. The sparkling white ground had changed a bit. It was too bright. It hurt her eyes. What happened? Was it all a dream? No, her heart cried. The memory still lives tucked inside of me. Her head cried too. Maybe you're wrong. Her gut stayed silent. It felt empty. Suddenly she noticed a couple holding hands and crossing the street. She noticed the man was her lover. This couldn't be. She watched as they kissed and then disappeared out of sight. This can't be happening. When he arrived later that night, she was already in bed. She didn't know what to say. She was too weak to fight. He lay beside her, his arm draped limp over her. She stared into the dark as he fell asleep. This day had to be a nightmare. She closed her eyes. She had restless dreams. The next morning she woke, left the blanket on the floor. At the window she stood naked, looking out of the world. It seemed darker, colder, more sinister. He stood behind her, resting his hand on her shoulder. "We had a good time yesterday. I love you so much." She reached for her robe and pulled it on tight. "Really?" she said flatly. "You left yesterday. I saw you with another woman. The day before was perfect. When you said I was the only one, I was special, and you'd never hurt me. Just go away. What are you saying? What woman? Don't do this. Don't start this. What perfect day do you keep speaking of? I heard that yesterday. We worked it out. And I was here the whole time. I would never hurt you. How dare you accuse me? He then sat on the bed, and his head in his hands. You really want to have me leave? I have no one else. Time went on like this day after day. She began to shrink away from life and him. She began to drink heavily. It was easier to believe she was delusional that way. She'd wake up with bruises. He'd say she did it herself. He'd deny affairs and hurtful things he said and did. Endless fights that she was told were all started by her. Eventually, so much of her was gone, dying, she barely spoke anymore. One day she awoke, but she still felt like she was dreaming. The person she called her lover was snoring softly. Carefully and quietly, she climbed out of bed, highly aware of any signs he might awake. She felt she was crawling on splintering thin ice, afraid of falling through. Still in the clothes she worn yesterday, she tiptoed to the window. She began to keep the curtain closed and raised her hand unsteadily to pull it back. Just a peek, she thought. Was the world really still out there? And when she looked, it was all normal enough. Seasons had changed, years gone by. The sun stopped offering her anything long ago, and she felt disconnected from all around her, even him, even herself. Her intention was to go in another room, but she stopped as she passed him and stared. She barely recognized him. Glancing in a mirror, something she rarely does anymore, she can barely recognize herself. She picks up an old picture of herself and freezes. Her brain is shouting, "Please see it. You need to see it. Save your life." She sees something in the picture. Her eyes are bright, full of light. Her smile so broad and genuine, her posture relaxed, her whole aura glowing. The reflection of herself, her eyes so empty. She tries to smile, but it's been a long time, and it's pained and thin. Her posture tense and unsure, her aura black. Black means death. She was gaunt and thin. Most disturbing, she saw the person he kept telling her she was. She looked crazy and insecure. Was that her? Tell me, brain, she begged. What is happening? Why am I confused all the time? Why? Why? She turned to look at him once more and almost screamed. She saw him for the first time. His eyes popped open, and she could see it all. She could see cold, dark, empty space where his soul should be. Like a photo album forced on her, she saw his deep, dark satisfaction with himself for being able to lie, cheat, hide, control, not just her, but all he came in contact with. Deeper within, there was a little boy in a dark room in the corner, sobbing. Seeing her, he looked startled. Then with tiny hands over tiny ears, he began to scream, "Go away! Don't hurt me! How did you get here? You don't belong here! You're hurting me! Help!" In a flash it was gone. The world returned. This was crazy. She grabbed a few things and fled from the house and him. The outside world was warmer and more inviting. She wasn't ready for it yet, though. She had enough light left. He could keep his mask and his hell. The perfect day was the real lie. It happened for only her. The joy she felt was her light. She'd willingly shared it with him, and he tried to steal it all from her. What was the truth? Someone hurt him long ago, so long ago he can no longer remember it. The little boy he was began to create a world of revenge. Anyone or anything to come in contact with his world must become a part of it. Like a spider's web, the harder you fight, the more entangled you become, if you cannot get out. The child is at the controls. The world protects him from compassion, empathy, or anything painful. Yet his pain is all too real when no one is in his world. He wants all eyes on him. He wants your pity, money, attention, innocence, energy, strength, and power. He wants to exploit your fears, weaknesses, flaws, doubts, and privacy. He wants to force you into going against your morals, values, standards, and ethics. He demands all your time and attention and wants you left with no one but him. He does not care about you or anybody else. He does not take blame. The child inside has blamed the real world for what happened to him, and everybody is the person who hurt him. So he's never wrong. He does not want or need to be saved. Facing the pain and healing from it would allow him compassion and empathy. He'd have to face all he has done. His psyche would crack. He would self-destruct. No matter how convincing he can be, he can never be honest with you or himself. You are supply. You are not his only supply. He lines them up, using them at will. When he cheats, it's not about sex. Not only is it about control, it's about proving that he has no rules. He'll break the law, and if caught, he'll control the courtroom. No one is off limits. No one. The main supply, normally smart, beautiful, fun, outgoing, one that not just any man could have, but once consumed fully, he'll need another. This is why his phone is protected, his web history hidden, and social media carefully controlled. Anything you catch him doing is normal, something everybody does. Catch him on a dating site, he'll claim he was looking for you, even with pictures and a full in-depth profile. You will not win any battle with him. Revenge is not possible. You'll never get closure. He'll never see you. He doesn't know you. You're not a person to him. Don't be fooled even more. Their friends are not your friends. Their family will not see your side. The new supply will not believe you. He'll just keep making you seem crazy, and your insistence is the only proof he needs. Think he won't hurt someone else if you stay is a nice thought, but he cannot be stopped. There was other women anyway. The new supply cannot change him. He will not love her either. She's under his control, remember that. Don't blame her, or hate her, or reject her. Because if she can escape, she might just need you. You are a victim. He hunted you, took from you, and damaged you. Remember, it's not your fault. You did not deserve it. There's nothing wrong with you. You are worthy of love, and you are worthy of respect. The abuser could be a man, a woman, a parent. Race, social status, financial status, sexual orientation, location in the world does not matter. They can be a priest, a pillar of the community, a therapist, your boss, or your coworker. It does not matter. Radically accept these facts and repair you. He's a person with a severe mental illness considered a dangerous personality disorder, and there is no cure. Therapy can only help them better at fooling people. They will never empathize with you or stop hurting you. You have to let go of who you thought they were because that person did not exist. Warning: the next facts you may not ever understand. You may struggle with them for a long time. They are painful, even for me to write, let alone accept. So love yourself. Cry if you need to. You believe things were real. You fell in love with someone you thought was real. But he did not love you. He does not care about you. Nothing you did mattered. You're never going to get back money, time, energy, or anything else you lost. He will not apologize. He will not give you closure. The whole relationship was a lie. Go no contact and discover yourself again. If you stay or go back, they will eventually kill you. Whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. Remember this. You cannot save a person from drowning when they cannot admit that they're in water. But if you try, as you both run out of breath, they'll blame you for suffocating them. Sometimes it's best to save yourself. Grieve and move on. Save yourself. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.